Hi everybody, my name is Doug Wilson and this is Yellowhawk Customs Outdoors. This video is going to be a knife review. Now, as some of my viewers know, most of them know, if you're a regular to the channel, I work with knife makers who are relatively new to the trade, right? But they're still very good knife makers. And I kind of determined that on my own, right? I investigate a prospective candidate for, working with them, giving them one of my designs. I investigate them. If I like what I see, then, I contact them, right? And we go from there. So, this is the new knife in the Yellowhawk Customs lineup. It's called the Delta Whiskey Switchback. He sent two versions. So if you stay tuned, we're going to talk about how these knives came to be. Okay, the Delta Whiskey Switchback. So, I'm going through one of the forums a while back, and I come across a knife made by a guy named Joshua Blankenship. And it was a cool looking knife. Right? But moreover, I could see various details of that knife were nearly perfect. And that kind of piqued my interest, right? So I contacted him and we struck an agreement on building this knife, the Delta Whiskey Switchback. I sent him the design and I tell you, within 2 weeks, he had both of these made. Okay? Now that's pretty quick, right? Most knife makers, when I contact them, it takes them a month, a couple of months to build the knife, right? Well, he did it in a couple of weeks, okay? So, he sent me two, it's the same knife with different edge geometries, with different grinds, okay? Main grind, the edges are the same, okay? So this is what we call a saber vex. It could be a wide Scandi vex, right? But it's convexed from the shoulder down. So it's flat. It's a flat grind here, and then it transitions into convex saber grind. So a saber vex or a Scandi vex. It depends on what you want to say. Be honest. Okay? And then this one is a full convex. 5/32 inch thick. 5/32. For a knife this size, that's as thick as you need it. You could even go with 1/8 inch. The blade is 3.5 inches long. The handle is 4.25 inches long. I like a substantial handle on my EDC knives. Something that's very comfortable with a sure grip, a sure purchase. And these finger grooves, they give a very sure purchase. Now, I asked him to make these in 80 CRV too, but if you guys order one from him, you can have pretty much a wide variety of steels. He does several high carbon steels. You're going to have to ask him, okay? He knows what he has. Several high carbon steels as well as a couple of super steels. I know CPM 3V is one of those super steels. Eventually, I'm going to have one made in CPM 3V for myself. Okay? So there it is. The Delta Whiskey Switchback, made by Joshua Blankenship at Ankura Knife Company. Ankura Knife Company. If you are interested, after watching this video, in having one of these made for you, it is a custom knife. There is a wait time, and they're not cheap. Okay? Now, he is comparable to other custom knife makers in price. His fit and finish, very good. Professional. Okay? He has a very professional fit and finish. His plunge lines are straight. His main grind is spot on. This convex grind, he did a great job, because it's difficult to get a convex grind. You know, some makers find it very difficult on thin steel like this, 5/32. If you want this knife in 1/4 inch, he'll do it. If you want it in 3/16, he'll do it. Okay? So he sent me 2 different versions of it, and I'm going to work with both of them. I tell you, I think he did a great job. I think he did a great job. These scales are voodoo scales. This one's called Hulk. It's green and black and gold. He has all kinds of handle material. He has a wide variety. So you can have anything you want. Stabilized hardwood, stabilized this, resins, you know, resin scales, pine cone scales, whatever you want, right? He's got it. And he's one of those guys that if you ask for something that he doesn't do, he might try it for you. See how it goes. You know what I mean? He's a great guy, good to work with, enthusiastic knife maker. That's how I classify him. He is very enthusiastic. I get texts from him at least twice a day, keeping me apprised of what's going on with our collaborations. And I absolutely appreciate that. That is dedication. The man decided to work with me, and he's keeping up his end of the bargain, no doubt. That is commendable. So I'm going to commend him for it. These pins are carbon fiber pins. I asked him to make this super light, but very strong, and they are. Okay, these run in at about 6 ounces. That's really light for an EDC knife. Pretty light. Skeletonized handle underneath the scales. Surefire grip. I mean, you won't get a better grip on a knife than this. Every finger has a place to go, right? And it's not coming out of your hand come hell or high water, right? You can get it with a 90-degree spine. You can get it with a flat grind, a Scandi grind, a Scandi Vex, Saber grind, Saber Vex, whatever you want, he can do it, okay? Now, I'm sure there's a few things he won't do or can't do, won't waste your time, that kind of thing. He'll let you know. It's a Cerakoted blade. You don't have to get Cerakote, though. I just opted for Cerakote for these because I don't have any Cerakoted blades. Joshua Blankenship, Ankura Knife Company. He's also on Facebook. Joshua. And he spells it J-O-S-H-U-A. Joshua. Blankenship. Right? Kinship. Right? There it is. Delta Whiskey Switchback. Quickly coming a favorite of mine. I tell you, I really like this knife. He did an awesome job. I'm making Bob a stirring spatula for his stew that he's making. This blade, this Sabervex, bites really well. Even with the Cerakote on it. It's a wood hog. And the knife is small enough that it does smaller tasks very well. This is, like I said, this is a 3.5-inch blade, and it is a perfect size for an all-day EDC in the field. If you don't want to carry a bigger knife, like say the Delta Whiskey Infinity, or you know, a Tops Bob is even bigger than this, longer. So I think Joshua Blankenship is a safe bet. He really does a good job. He's a relatively new knife maker. He's been doing it about 6 years, so he's got some you know, he's got some time under his belt, but he's not super new. So he's had time to accrue some good experience. And I tell you, he has used that time wisely. He's complete. His shop is well outfitted for whatever he needs to do, including Cerakoting. Right? So he's just one of those knife makers that gets it, you know? And he puts everything that he is into his blades. So I'm fortunate that he'll be doing, you know, a couple of my designs. Okay. Very comfortable. Now this spine here on this knife is not completely 90 degrees. It doesn't need to be. It's Cerakoted, so it wouldn't strike a ferro rod anyway, even if it was super 90 degrees, right? But for you guys who want it, you know, bare steel, right? Say, you know, brushed finish or whatever, he can give you a 90 degree spine that's super sharp, right? I love his versatility. He really, I'm telling you, he does a great job. Very good. I'm impressed with that. This edge and this grind really bites into the wood well. And after you're done using it, you know, feather sticking, whatever, it strops up really well. And you know, keep in mind this is 80 CRV2, so it sharpens relatively easy, but a very good steel for edge retention. Does a good job. Not as good as the super steels, but you know, you gotta trade off when it comes to steel, right? If you want a super steel, you got to deal with it being harder to sharpen, right? You got to deal with it if you lose your sharpening implements in the field. What are you going to do, you know? So you got to keep all that in mind. Yep, she's coming back. 80 CRV2, 1095, those high carbon steels. They do dull quicker, but again, easier to sharpen. I just strop and that edge comes right back. See if I can find some hair. Tell you, these edges really bite. He does a great job on these edges. Holds an edge fairly well for 80 CRV2. CPM 3V, I'm sure that would hold an edge a lot longer. This thing really bites. I tell you, be careful, guys. You've really got to control this edge, because you put it on that wood and it wants to just dig in. So you got to go shallow with your feathers. Very nice. Now, I really harp on feather sticking, because if your knife can feather stick well, it can do pretty much anything you want it to do as far as small tasks, right? And these edges really bite in. It's uncommon. This is uncommon to have an edge do this, which I actually like it. But it's hard to control it. You got to practice with it, you know, because it's so aggressive. Razor sharp. I'm really digging the Cerakote. It's tough stuff. And, you know, your blade is definitely not going to rust. Okay? For you guys who are tired of oiling your blades, your high carbon steel blades, Cerakote is a great alternative to oil, right? To having to do that all the time, because it stays on there, right? It eventually wears off a little. I've used this knife a fair amount, and with stropping and sharpening, you know, that kind of thing, it starts to wear at the edge, but that's normal. That's to be expected. Very good. Let's see if I can do this one. Really bites. That's crazy. I tell you, I'm loving these knives. Loving them. And what I really like about them is they're skeletonized. The handles, he's got the handle skeletonized, meaning he's got holes drilled in the handle at strategic points so it doesn't weaken the blade or weaken the handle at all, but it lightens it up. It's already a fairly small knife, and you know, with this rig that I have on here, I'll show it to you. All right, this rig that I have on my chest, right, it's on my suspenders. Okay, I enjoy this style of carry. I can't. Oh, this one doesn't fit in here. This is the one I made it for. All right. I can't. I lose sight of the fact that I'm even wearing it, because you can't feel it. It's that light. I think the knife comes in at 6 ounces. That's pretty light for, you know, a full-size EDC, right? The handles, you're looking at, these are Voodoo scales. Voodoo Scale Company. They make knife scales, okay? And this, I forget the name of this here, but this stuff is called Hulk Caged, right? And I picked it. He said, you know, what kind of handle do you want on them? I said, you know, I like those Voodoo scales, man. Why don't we try that for the prototypes, right? So he did, right? Beautiful. It's green, black, a little bit of gold with that hex pattern. Really nice. He really, his fit and finish is just awesome. Couldn't be happier. Then again, you know, all the knife makers I work with, their abilities are pretty good. They're all pretty damn good. So I'm a little more intimate with these knives and all the other knives I designed because I designed them. And I know why they were designed the way they're designed, right? So take the handle, for example. Look at the handle. Now watch where the fingers go, okay? Forefinger, middle finger, next finger, pinky, okay? They all have a place to go on that handle with sure purchase between each finger. You get what I'm saying? So there, it's a comfortable grip. You know what I mean? And that is probably the most important design aspect to me, is comfort design elements. Okay? Now I asked Joshua to make me a convex grind. Okay? And he did. He can make you a flat grind if you want. He can do a Scandi if you want. He can do a saber grind. He can do a Scandi Vex or a Saber Vex grind. Okay? The guy is good at what he does. Ankura Knife Company. Now, let's face it. In order for a knife to be readily accepted and liked, it's got to be badass too, right? It's got to look cool. You can't ever forget that in the knife world. This knife is very functional without being too gaudy, flashy. You get what I'm saying? I think this is a very handsome design. And since it's so small, 3.5 inch blade, 4.25 inch handle, he can make it a little longer, a little shorter, or whatever for you, right? Carbon fiber pins. I mean, I didn't expect that, right? This thing is solid. Solidly built. He can put liners in if you want, right? He can put stainless steel pins in if you want. He can put those Bushcrafty fish eye tube and pin hardware pins in it. You know, he could do. He's very versatile, very versatile. I'm telling you, honestly, I'm surprised at all that he can do. He really, like I said, he really puts his heart and mind into what he's doing. And I think he's going to go far in the knife world. I really do. And I have to mention it. If I see something extra special in a maker, I got to tell people about it. It's like, it's my prerogative to do that, right? And it's my responsibility to, you know, steer you guys in the right direction so that you're not being ripped off, you're not getting a cheap knife, you're not getting shitty steel, you're not getting bad heat treats, right? So I kind of soak all that up first, and then I spit it back out, and you guys get good stuff, right? So, great gear, great knives. That's what Yellow Hawk Custom's all about. Now, there's another good thing about having these built by Joshua Blankenship at Ankura Knife Company. He has a Rockwell tester. A lot of knife makers don't have a Rockwell tester. So he can dial in any Rockwell that you want. I chose to go up to 60 with this 80 CRV2 for both of these knives. 60 HRC, which is a little harder than normal, but it gives me better edge retention, and I don't have to sharpen it as much. But keep in mind, it is still a high carbon steel that is softer than a super steel. Okay, there's big differences in steel nowadays. These are great steels. 80 CRV2, 1095, A201. A lot of them have pretty much the same properties within a ballpark, right? And then you move up to the super steels, which are like these properties on steroids, okay? So better edge retention for super steel, better toughness, better, you know, oh, whatever, right? Okay? So just keep in mind, he can dial in the Rockwell for you. Now, you have to talk to him. He's not going to build you a knife with a Rockwell 50. Okay? You got to know what you're talking about here, right? So I chose to do 60 with these. He could have done 57 to 59. This one's 60 to 61. Both of these are. And they're performing very well. I'm very impressed with these knives. Now, I know I'm going to get comments and questions, PMs, texts. Hey, Doug, how about that carry that you got in that video? You're wearing it on your suspenders. Well, that's what that is, suspenders, okay? You just bring the two together, right? And this one's a Molly lock, but it works with a Tech lock too, or a combat lock, or whatever, okay? This one's a Molly lock, and I cant the Molly lock so that I get a sideways cant this way, so it's easier for me to draw. Now I can do it this way too, make it even easier, okay? But just haven't felt like fiddling with it. It's just okay, easy to do that, right? And it's very secure, very comfortable, very functional in the field. Right? I'm getting to the point now where I'm wearing suspenders all the time now, right? I'm tired of my pants falling down when I'm backpacking or carrying a pack. So it's a good way to carry a knife. It really is. Safe, effective, and, you know, for self-defense, it's probably one of the best ways to carry. Okay, so you guys are probably asking yourselves, well, should I purchase a knife from Joshua Blankenship at Ankura Knife Company, right? Now, you know me. I will not use junk in the field. If it's even marginal, I won't use it. I just want the best for the field. That's just me, okay? So, if I stand behind a maker, he's going to be a good maker with a quality knife, okay? Would I spend my money on an Ankura Knife Company knife? Yes. Yes, I would. They are beautiful. My design, yeah, but the way he executed it, absolutely beautiful, gorgeous, okay? And I got to give credit where credit is due. If it wasn't gorgeous, I would tell you, yeah, it's a good-looking knife. You know, you can tell, right? You can tell it's a good-looking knife. And it performs well. I've been working with this one, mostly, for 2 weeks. It's all beat up now. The Cerakote's got scratches all over it. I don't care. It's a good knife, right? So there it is. It feathers well, it batons well, it notches well. It's a knife and it works well. So the other side of it is, it's a good looking knife, I think. What do you think, Bob? Good looking knife or not?
Good looking knife.
Good looking
On a
knife.
scale of 1 to 12, 12.
12. See that? He's got to say that because I'm his best friend. All right? And with Joshua, you could pretty much have anything you want. You got to work it out with him. So this is how it works. He builds the knife, then he sends it to me, and you and I work on a sheath system together. If you absolutely do not want a KYDEX sheath on this knife, okay, fine. Just have him make a leather sheath for you. However, I do this, right? I design these knives and I give the design to certain makers so that it's a knife and sheath system, right? He builds the knife, I put a nice sheath system on it, and you have something that's going to last you for the rest of your life, your kids' lives, and your grandkids' lives, and their kids. Get what I'm saying? All right. So, I am very impressed with these knives. He did a very good job. Hopefully, my sheath systems do it justice. This one I didn't have time to make a sheath for, so I put it in a leather sheath, right? I'm okay with leather sometimes. It's got to hold the knife well, though. Right? All right, guys. This is Doug Wilson, Yellowhawk Customs Outdoors. Thanks for watching. See ya!